Why you keep avoiding action even when you know what to do. I'm Mario Leone, and welcome to the Voices of Victory channel. I'm your host. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about a very important concept. A lot of people label themselves, and people in society will label you. They will call you lazy. You're a lazy person. You have no sense of discipline, and they'll just point at your laziness, and just finger point all day long. But it's not about that. It's not about laziness. If you've been branded with that, if you've been labeled with that, I'm here to tell you it's a little bit different on the other side of the fence. If you've been called lazy, we can now go in a different direction and look at it completely different. We are going to talk about behavioral activation. And this is where it gets crucial. When people get very emotional, when they're filled with emotion and their attention goes all over the place, then what happens is their behavior has trouble. You can think of your attention span as a North Star or a guide for your behavior. So when that has an issue, when your attention starts going all over the map, and when your emotions start increasing with that because of the stress or what you're carrying emotionally on the inside, then what happens is behavioral activation starts to crumble. Your brain is not refusing to create a new pattern. It's not refusing action. It's not refusing a new life. It's not doing that. But it does want you to feel emotionally comfortable. That's what it wants to do. It wants to be comfortable emotionally. And it wants to get rid of the amount of things that are confusing. It wants to get rid of the mental overwhelm that's going on in your brain. And it wants to do those two things before it starts any particular type of habit or pattern, before it does anything. Because when the emotions are completely overwhelmed and when the thought process and attention span is completely overloaded, then what happens is human beings automatically pull out the stop. They delay any type of attempt because what they're trying to do is protect themselves emotionally and, of course, mentally as well, even if the task is really simple. And that can happen to anybody. So it's not about you being lazy. It's nothing to do with that. It is the breakdown and crumbling of behavioral activation. Now, what I can tell you is if you're looking to develop a new habit, let's say you want to go run. You want to become a track star. You want to run. Well, I got news for you. You're going to have to start running. That's the reality, okay? And that sounds like such a simple, mundane idea. Like, oh, just run and that will cure everything. Yeah, but what about my emotions? And here's what I want to share with you. If you go and run, then your emotions will follow. If you act, if you take action, that'll provide you with evidence, and your emotions will actually follow. Okay, so what do? Well, you might be feeling overwhelmed based on the principle of how much you have to run. That's the kicker. So the kicker is not the fact that you run. The kicker is your brain is having a problem with how much it has to run, because your emotions will totally throw out the red flags. That's what will happen. Your emotions are like, oh, yeah, we got to run now. So what's a person to do? I mean, what do? Do you run out there and do 3 miles? What do? You do intervals, tiny intervals, several intervals with music. If you have to have emotions involved, in order to break past that emotional aspect, we have to be able to utilize music, utilize emotional tools that are going to help you get there. And when you're done running, you're going to have a smoothie that's healthy for you. You could have it before, whatever the case may be, whatever you feel is proper at the end of the day. So when you're dealing with this running, when your brain says go run, and if I tell you go run, the emotional flags come up. The mental overwhelm comes up. But if we start to break it down and say, okay, we're going to take you to a parking lot and you're going to sprint 15 times across the parking lot back and forth. And after that, we're going to stop, we're going to have a little water, relax for a couple minutes, and we're going to put some music on and we're going to go at it again. So when we take a particular habit and start to bring it down to these tiny doses, you indoctrinate your mind with tiny doses of effort that has emotions baked into it, that you're still going to stick to the actual process. You're going to stick to the exercise. You're not going to be emotional to the point where it's going to stop you. You're going to channel your emotions into power. And that's why music is so valuable. If you look at Bruce Lee, he loved to shadowbox to jazz. Not only because it had the rhythm, by the way, but because he enjoyed the music. You see? So we have to look at it that way. We have to take a look at how to fix it, because it's behavioral activation, and we have to lower that activation until it becomes the very first step, and that first step becomes automatic, and it's not something your brain is going to self-argue or negotiate with. We build a structure, and the first action already has to be decided, and that decision is, I must run if that's what I'm going to do. That's where it has to happen. It has to be decided, and you got to decide that before the emotional flags start throwing up. Make the decision. And if you channel some of that fear into a more motivated external force, then that's good. You can think of it as alchemizing, in the sense you're taking what's inside of you and you're bringing it outside into the world. You're channeling your feelings into what you're doing. Because when you actually start and you activate the behavior, there really is no thought. You're doing. You have to get to the point of doing, to be in the process of. It's the thought before that throws people off. Starting requires that there's no thinking. You do. You are becoming. You are growing, shaping, and changing. Now, another thing you have to consider is distraction. You're going to get distracted from everyone. People are going to call you, people are going to text, and you're going to get distracted. Now, can that be used wisely? The answer is yes. If you go on a treadmill and the treadmill has a TV and you run for an hour, that is valuable. Even though the mind is distracted, your body is still doing its deal. And I feel that that's okay. I feel that's fine. But what do we have to do? We focus on beginning. Focus on the start, on the beginning, on the starting line, not the finish line. People are so outcome-based, they forget about the process, to be in the moment, to be doing it now. Be the archer and focus on the quality of pulling the bow and arrow rather than trying to hit the target. Perfect the bow and arrow pull, and you'll hit the target as a byproduct, and you still have to calculate the wind at the end of the day. You still have to deal with the external aspects. It doesn't mean you can't be outcome focused. Of course, you could have your eye on the target. That's fine. But what about the process? What about being in the process? Focus on beginning. We have to pull the entire shirt off of the decision and the pressure that you feel and get right into the behavior, because that behavior has to start. And it's got to start without needing any motivation. The music is there to help you. It's to get you emotionally pumped up. That's why I said when we bake in emotions, it can be used as fuel. But when we misuse it, we allow the emotions to win when we should be starting. So here's the thing I'm going to say with you at the end of this entire thing, this entire episode today. I understand that some of you have a difficult time with it, but here's where you're really having the most difficult time is starting. The starting behavior, the doing behavior, because you're stressed under the mental overwhelm, the emotional overwhelm, and the attention overwhelm. That's why you can't start. There's so many people out there, a lot of motivational speakers, a lot of different podcasters say, just push through it, just be more disciplined, just push through it. Doesn't work that way. It works for them. They're the exception, they're not the rule. Let's get that very clear. Behavioral activation has got to start. That's what has to go down. I'm not heaping scorn on what they do, because it is functional, it is useful, it is valuable. But I get down to the science. I get down to the nitty gritty. It's all about getting into the middle point. I am that middle point. As someone who runs a podcast and speaks about discipline, motivation, mindset, and everything, and mental toughness, I get down to that middle point. It's not just self-improvement. It's self-improvement and behavioral psychology both. Because there are self-improvement based people and then there's psychology people, but I am right there, right smack in the middle. This is not about discipline. This is about behavioral activation. This is not just about confidence. It's the principle of self-efficacy. It's not about overthinking all the time. It's about understanding the Solomon paradox. It's not about procrastination. It's understanding avoidant behavior, your own avoidant behavior. It's not just about people-pleasing. It's understanding what impression management actually is and how burnout relates to, let's say, being overwhelmed. So I'm not here to say you need to be more disciplined. I'm here to say, let's look hard at the identity, the attention span, and how we activate the behavior, how we set up our environment to get us to move forward in a practical behavioral way. That's why I do what I do. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Give this to anybody else that needs help.